The controversy with mesh for pelvic organ prolapse stems from two FDA reports, one in 2008 and one in 2011, saying that we were having higher than anticipated complication rates with mesh for pelvic organ prolapse. Now, this is important to discriminate this from mesh for stress incontinence. So when we use the mesh for incontinence correction, we take a small piece of mesh, and if you think of my fist being the bladder and my finger being the urethra, what we're doing is we're trying to recreate some of that support around the urethra with a small hammock that goes underneath the urethra. We've found that this procedure has very high success rates, success and satisfaction rates as high as 85 to 95%. And both the American Urologic Association and the American Urogynecologic Society have both come out and said this is probably our best and safest option for treating stress incontinence. Historically, we have treated pelvic organ prolapse in a variety of ways. Initially, we started with doing what we call native tissue repairs, where we suspend the prolapsed vagina up to structures in the pelvis, namely the uterosacral ligaments, the sacrospinous ligament, sometimes the coccygeus muscle. What we found with these native tissue suspensions was that the success rates were not always as high as we would like, sometimes on the order of 60%. And so we started introducing a mesh scaffolding, which increases the strength of those repairs. And so we tried to figure out if we could take these two approaches and meld them into a single approach that would give us the benefits of both. What this was initially was the vaginal mesh placement, and we thought we'd solved all of our questions. The operating room times came down, length of stay was shorter, but then we started to see some of these other complications that were unanticipated, such as the mesh exposures. The mesh has gone through multiple iterations over the course of history, and we've seen that, the mesh products were various materials such as nylon, Gore-Tex, polypropylene. Most of the products you're going to see in the market today are going to be polypropylene. And we've discovered that less mesh is sometimes better, and so we're using a more loosely knitted mesh that has macroporous configuration. We are continuing to evolve our meshes. Some of the meshes today have some parts of them which are permanent mesh, other parts are dissolvable mesh, so that you initially, before that scar tissue is formed, you're able to get a more beefier piece of mesh, and then part of that mesh will dissolve, so there's less mesh burden on the patient long term. All mesh is not created equal, and that meshes for prolapse are probably very different than meshes for stress incontinence. We're trying to capitalize on the newer technology and make it a safe procedure that has good outcomes and low patient morbidity.